I think it's so funny whenever I post anything saying like, women are oppressed.
Well, that's fascinating. And yes, there are still places in this world today where women are genuinely oppressed. However, I wonder if they're going to tell us anything about how women are supposedly oppressed in the Western world.
And then there's so many men in the comments who are like, oh yeah, how are women oppressed? How are they oppressed?
Yes, indeed. I know I'm waiting to hear how I'm supposedly oppressed. I believe we're all waiting for that answer.
Babe, just look at this comment section. Like, you all hate us.
And that was the entirety of the video. Anyone else notice that they didn't actually answer the question of how women are oppressed, specifically in the Western world where this video was obviously made, but instead they deflected to the comment section, which naturally and unfortunately did have some rather disparaging comments about women in it from men. Now, here's something important to remember. Just because some men out there don't like women or make disparaging remarks does not mean that a person is oppressed. It really makes me wonder if some individuals actually know the definition of the term.
That's because these types of women operate purely in emotion. They never once think, maybe, just maybe, I should throw in a little razzle dazzle, throw in a little logic here and there to balance myself out. Nah, not that.
Hey guys, Teslas don't come with a spare tire.
Okay, well that seems rather impractical.
So if you want to come at me about how I should know how to change a tire, first of all, no I shouldn't.
Why shouldn't any grown adult, strike that, why shouldn't anybody who's old enough to drive, to include teenagers, not know how to change a tire? That's called a basic life skill.
Okay? I had an amazing dad and I have an amazing husband.
Then they should have taught you how to change a tire.
I am a feminist and I don't need to learn how to change a tire.
A feminist? But feminists are supposed to believe in things like equality, equal treatment, even that one thing that a lot of women seem to want to avoid, equal responsibility. So if a person thinks that they shouldn't have to learn how to change a tire because they're a feminist, then obviously they don't know the first thing about feminism.
Second of all, Teslas don't come with one, so I'm not the one. I'm not the one, okay?
I would wholeheartedly agree that someone is most certainly not the one, as they seem to lack basic life skills.
So as we're all very much aware, we are living through a chopped man epidemic.
Well, to be perfectly fair, I'm sure that there's a lot of guys out there that are, at this very moment, saying the exact same thing about the number of attractive women out there.
And there's a big shortage of baddies.
Shortage of baddies. Ah, yes. For those who aren't quite familiar with the phrase, that is basically slang for a shortage of good-looking gentlemen.
It's gone so bad to the point that, if I see an attractive man, it genuinely makes my day.
I can see how that would happen, but what a person considers to be attractive really comes down to a person's preference and what they happen to find attractive. But statistically, and depending on which statistic a person chooses to look at, the most conservative being that only around 1 to 2% of the population is considered to be very good looking, while around 7 to 8% of the population is considered to be conventionally attractive. So the odds are not exactly in anyone's favor.
That's what I'm saying, man. I was waiting on this video. I didn't know when it was going to come, but I was figuring they're not sending out their best soldiers. They're just not.
It's 6:37 in the morning.
And yet someone manages to be so eloquent so early in the morning.
You know how many men have looked at me get gas at this QT?
And the verbal grace just continues.
Like 8. You think I'm that cute? Buy my fucking shit instead of just like...
Well, considering everything, there are two very plausible explanations as to why those particular gentlemen decided that they did not want to pump the gas of someone that they don't know, in addition to paying for it. The first is that they were probably on their way to work, especially considering that hour of the morning. 6:30 is not the time of day when most people go out looking for someone to interact with. But the most likely explanation is that probably some of those gentlemen might have just overheard a certain someone talking.
That's the problem. Maybe some of you ladies are not as cute as you think you are. I don't know where y'all get that from. Maybe y'all do positive affirmations in the morning, but those positive affirmations are lies. You need to stop that.
He gets to be inside of you. You should get to be inside as well. Yeah. I think that's a pretty easy concept. I think that's a natural order concept, right?
Natural order. Right. That's quite literally the definition of paying to play. But at least I guess the world's oldest profession has at least evolved along with so many other things in this world. As long as it is under the guise of dating, it is perfectly acceptable for women to sleep with men in exchange for money. Great times we live in.
I keep on telling y'all, they not sending out their best and brightest. They're just not. When the chopped man epidemic came around, they not sending out their best soldiers. They sending out the worst ones. And now, when Logic comes out, they not sending out their best soldiers.
I don't understand. Why are you being so mean?
Better? Better at what? Oh my goodness. I mean, I can certainly think of a long list of things that some women certainly are better at than men, but that only really promotes a stereotype in some cases, so they would probably feel very called out if I actually brought that up. And there are things out there that men are better at than women, but the thing to remember here is that there are people out there that actually think this way, that one gender is better than the other. No one's better than anyone else. Everyone has their own strengths and their own weaknesses, but this type of propaganda doesn't help anyone. So that video, in and of itself, was fairly self-explanatory. There are a lot of women out there that are actually very proud, it seems, of announcing that they are exchanging their time in exchange for money. That's the entire reason that they're dating. But believe it or not, I found a video that explains it even better. Well, if nothing else, we can say that we've reached a whole new level on social media, and that would be complete and total honesty. There are some women out there freely admitting that they're just using men. Oh, and the caption on that last video? Just priceless. A person could even say, disgusting. But the really sad part is the amount of women that actually praise this type of behavior. It's almost like they condemn that same behavior when men do it, though. Odd.
This is gonna trigger some people.
Probably not. But when someone says something like that, we usually get some good insight into how someone thinks.
Most men don't even like women.
This again? Okay. I wonder what they're going to say next that is not only going to, one, prove their point, but two, apparently trigger people.
They just don't want to love on a man. Openly.
Holy phobic behaviors, Batman. But I wouldn't exactly call that triggering. I would call that instead rather self-revealing, as there are a lot of women out there that are actually expressing their displeasure with men by trying to insinuate that there is actually something wrong with not being straight, and that is unfortunate. That is their way of trying to disparage and shame men now. Okay, thought we were past that. But no, in point of fact, most men actually do like women. They just don't like a lot of the women that make disparaging men their entire personality and their online presence. Can't imagine why. Don't ever speak for me. In fact, don't go so far as to even speak for anyone else other than yourself. Because contrary to what a lot of these women are trying to say, there are, in fact, a lot of women. I would actually go so far as to say the majority of women actually do care a great deal about men's mental health. Unfortunately, I feel that some women out there are afraid to speak up because they're worried about the amount of online criticism that they will get from those individuals out there who really don't care about anyone other than themselves, and the nasty messages that they might receive, which is unfortunate. But if more of us actually stand up for what we believe in and show that we really do care about men's mental health, then some of these individuals won't have a leg to stand on.
If men didn't exist, there'd be no war, there'd be fewer crimes, there'd be less violence, there'd be fewer billionaires.
It strikes me as funny that the majority of individuals that make this type of content that think that the world would be so much better without men are obviously not students of history or the human condition.
There'd be less homelessness, there'd be equal pay, there'd be less oppression, there'd be less poverty, there'd be universal health care. All the money used to fund the military would instead contribute to free education.
Sadly, it is often the most uninformed individuals that often speak the loudest.
affordable housing, livable wages, and environmental efforts. Period products would be free. There'd be no need for birth control and all of its side effects. There'd be no need for women's rights or Me Too movements.
It's amazing how blind a person can be when they actually believe that men are the root of all evil, and seemingly they don't think that women can do any wrong.
There'd be no abortion debate. Toilet seats would never be left up. There'd be more self-love. There'd be less body shaming.
What? More self-love and less body shaming if men didn't exist? Yeah, it doesn't seem like they've experienced much of reality, because in my experience, it's usually women that do the most of that, not men. But again, let's go on.
The world in general would be safer, cleaner, and more comfortable. Land would be shared, not stolen. There'd be less hate, and there'd be less fear. Let me know if I missed anything, and try telling me that I'm wrong.
A person doesn't really actually have to try that hard to point out how egregiously incorrect it is to say that half of the human population does all the wrong while the other half can do nothing wrong. I'll just leave that there.
Living in a fantasy, you have to expand. People expand to your territory and they will take it. Man or woman, period. Why? Because they're looking for resources. And if you don't create a boundary and say, listen, let's trade instead of you trying to come over here and steal my stuff. That's just how criminals are, man or woman. Girl, get out of that. Why are you still sitting in that car? Shouldn't you be in class? I thought y'all was enrolled in school. The smartest demographic.
Oh, I think I see the problem. There's a strong, independent woman that has the same rights as a man, but doesn't seem to want the same responsibilities. That seems to be a very popular trend among a lot of women out there. They want to reap all of the benefits of having the same rights as men, but a lot of them certainly don't want the same types of responsibilities. For example, they don't want to have to take care of themselves and carry their own luggage. And then they complain when a man doesn't offer them a seat, even though they've been saying for years that they're equal to men and don't need special treatment, except when they think they deserve it. Yeah, that's part of the problem there. But the other part of the problem is why a guy probably didn't stop and help is, yeah, there's probably a tripod and a camera set up there so that the person can film themselves carrying the bag up the stairs. That might also have something to do with it.
You know, I always get what I want.
Is it just me, or is there a lot of women out there that seem just a little too eager to advertise that they can in fact be bought and paid for? What is a feminist? There's been a lot of conversations about that. So let's clarify. A feminist is someone that believes in the equal treatment, equal rights, and equal opportunities for both men and women. So to clarify, if you are someone, for instance, who says all men, you are in fact not a feminist. If you are a misandrist, you are not a feminist. If you are someone that speaks about disparaging men in order to try to, in some odd way, uplift women, you are not a feminist. There are a lot of individuals out there masquerading as feminists, when in fact they're actually giving it a bad name. So I would encourage all of those that think they're doing the work of a feminist to actually do a little research before continuing to make yourselves look silly. Because the rest of us actually know what a feminist is, and a lot of you certainly are making that name look rather bad.
Look, there's no such thing as gold diggers.
Is that so? And pray tell, why is that?
As a man, you either choose an independent woman who is capable of meeting her own financial needs, or you pick one within your price range and shut up about it.
What a truly interesting perspective. Either a woman can stand on her own financially, or she falls into the category of falling into someone's price range. Almost like an item to be purchased. But no, sir, I do have to disagree. There are women out there that are gold diggers because they are going after certain men because those men make a certain amount of money so that they can be supported financially, and they're not interested in them for anything else other than how much money they happen to have. That is what a gold digger is. And it's really actually sad that I actually have to explain that, but in this day and age, nothing really should surprise me at this point, because there's actually someone out there that doesn't think gold diggers exist and is actually pandering to that belief. But what do I know?
If you cut your own grass, you're basically announcing to the whole neighborhood that you're broke.
Ooh, holy elitist mentality, Batman.
Nothing screams I can't afford $35 more than a shirtless guy breaking a sweat in his own driveway.
Newsflash for this guy and anyone that has a similar mentality, but there are actually quite a lot of people that do take pride in taking care of their own homes and doing things for themselves. That doesn't mean that they're broke.
It's gonna be 95 degrees outside, and you're telling me that you want to cut your own grass?
You can always tell when someone hasn't done a lot of things for themselves because, yeah, most people don't mow during the hottest part of the day.
You're not even saving actual money.
Really doesn't seem like someone knows how saving money works, because if a person isn't spending it, yeah, they're saving it.
And it's probably going to be looking worse than if someone else did it for you. And I'm someone that takes pride in how nice their lawn looks. I care so much, in fact, that I don't make it look bad by myself doing it, and I pay someone who's professional to make it look amazing, and it only costs me $35.
Well, whoop-de-doo. But I'm fairly certain that most people aren't quite interested in the opinion of someone thinks that you're broke if you mow your own lawn. That's just amazing.
Dude in the comments said I paid $5,000. I paid $5,000 for my John Deere zero turn. I guess that makes me poor. The truth is, there is nothing better than putting on your headphones, cranking up that rock and roll, and mowing your own yard. You know what? When you have a lawnmower like that, I can't disagree.
Can we normalize flirting with guys at the bars to get free drinks even if you're in a relationship?
Ever wonder how cheating starts? Well, that's how cheating starts.
I don't want to date you. I don't want to hook up. I just want a free little drink.
So many strong and independent women out there, but yet can't seem to support themselves or buy their own drinks. So they have to pretend to like a guy in order to get him to spend money on her so that she can feel better about herself and say that she's saving money, when in reality, just acting a bit like a leech.
Why do I have to be excluded from this luxury just because I'm in a relationship?
Luxury. Okay. It's almost like that being in a relationship would mean that a person is committed to the other one and isn't going to be flirting or engaging in any kind of activities with another person. But that might be one of those words that have changed definitions of late, but honestly, I can't keep track of them all. But it's no small wonder why there are a lot of men these days that, one, won't buy women drinks simply because of this type of behavior, but that a lot of guys are actually choosing to remain single and, more importantly, just not approach women at all.
What is this world coming to when we call manipulation empowering? These ladies are slow.
So you're telling me you're gonna love a man who does nothing for you, but you don't love money?
Well, this sounds like it'll be wholesome.
You don't love the job that actually puts food on the table for you?
Well, let's be very honest here. A person is very lucky, actually, if they indeed do love their job. A lot of people just work because they have to.
But you're gonna love a man that does nothing and drags you to the depth of hell?
Why would any person want to be with a person, man or woman, that would put them through that? No one should have to put up with that nonsense.
Have some dignity. Go and fall in love with money. At least it does things for you.
Did they really just say, have some dignity and go fall in love with money? I love it when people use words and they don't actually know the true meaning of it, because dignity actually means having love and respect for oneself, being worthy of honor and respect. And I can't think of a single dignified person that would actually go so far as to be in love with money. Money is just an inanimate object, and let's be very clear, it can't actually do anything for you. It allows you, however, to do stuff for yourself as well as for others. And the only individuals that I actually have come into contact with that are in love with money are very shallow and miserly. And that is not the type of person that another one should try to emulate.
She's a terrible person, just walking down the street with her glasses on. No wonder she's making dumb statements, because she can't see clearly.
Men are actually gay and they should just kiss each other.
This ought to be good.
The way men want to look is because they want to impress other men, not women.
I understand that someone is trying to be purposefully offensive here, but they're actually not taking into consideration that women do the very same thing for the very same reasons. Most women, in fact, will tell you that they dress and wear makeup to impress other women, and that doesn't make them gay.
They want to look big and buff and muscular because other men compliment them when they look like that.
How awful. Someone got a compliment from another man. That must mean so many things, right?
That is the male stereotype that you should be, that men put in place. They're doing it to themselves. You want attention from other men.
Be patient. I'll get to it.
Homoerotic. Men want validation from other men. You're gay.
I'm sorry, but when exactly did it become socially acceptable again to call someone gay in a disparaging manner? There have been many people that have actually worked very hard to stop that type of prejudice. But apparently, only as long as it's against a group of men is it okay to call them gay in a disparaging manner, not even taking into consideration that women do the exact same things for the exact same reasons, for validation from other women. But I can see why they left that out, because that would actually point out the hypocrisy of that entire statement.
I don't know if they'd be trying to impress you. That's for sure. Why don't you turn the camera off and go to bed?
Oh dear, it seems we have yet another instance of someone trying to utilize an overly popularized buzzword, tone policing, in order to try to make their argument for them, in addition to trying to silence those who would oppose them. And the funniest part is, and no, it's not just the fact that they use the term incorrectly, but it is the fact that if someone hadn't been so emotionally invested in the subject matter at hand, then they would have realized, by using critical thinking skills, that telling someone to use rational thought instead of leading with their emotions in no way constitutes tone policing. But I thought that would have been common sense. But then again, we do live in a world where a lot of people tend to make decisions based on how they feel at the moment, or how others tell them, heaven forbid, they should feel, and they go with those feelings instead of making decisions based on actual factual information. Just imagine a world where more people actually thought critically and used common sense when making decisions. I think the world would be a much better place. But no one ever said that emotions were weakness. They have their place, as does rational thought. And the important thing to remember is when they should be used.
Men are always complaining. Oh, it's so hard to be a man.
And here we go.
The only value is what you can provide. And it's like, it's your world, dude. Why don't you be a man, be a leader, make it better?
You know, it's been said that women are the most empathetic towards others. However, apparently there are always exceptions.
But honestly, they should just get out of the way. Let the matriarchy happen.
Ah, the fabled matriarchy. Let's actually hope, if it ever does come to fruition, that those in charge of it are actually decent human beings, and not like some examples that I could mention.
And you know, back in the olden days, I did man stuff.
I'm shocked.
And don't recommend. But it was not cool to complain.
Well, those of us with actual social awareness do realize that it's never, unfortunately, been considered socially acceptable for men to complain about anything. They're just supposed to, as someone recently said, man up.
And now they're like, that's their cross to bear. Like, oh, everything's so hard. I mean, half the men out there are probably looking at them like, stop complaining.
Well, that doesn't make it right now, does it? Just because some men, and obviously some women, are doing it, doesn't mean that it's okay to disparage anyone for worrying about their mental health.
It's like, it's patriarchy, it's hyper-capitalism.
I love it when someone uses buzzwords and they obviously don't know what they mean.
Do something. Jesus. And like, everybody knows there's no support groups. Like, why don't you guys start a book club?
Remember, gentlemen, no matter how many distasteful takes there are out there in regards to mental health and its importance, there are a great many more people out there that actually are supportive of individuals seeking help and getting the support that they need.
That was rude. That was pretty rude.
What a truly interesting thing to say. The sad part is it's not exactly rage bait, because there are a lot of individuals out there that actually believe those things wholeheartedly. Terrifying, isn't it? But in my experience, most men, especially in the Western world at least, do not feel emasculated by the idea or practice of feminism. Because feminism, at its core, originally meant just men and women being treated as equals and having equal rights. And no rational man is going to feel emasculated by that. But then again, it wouldn't get so many views if it didn't use such interesting language, now would it? Now, then there's the second part. No, most men don't find their manhood in oppressing others or feeling superior to women. That just tells me that someone who would make such a statement actually doesn't understand a thing about masculinity and is just using words to try to get more attention.
The number one person that you should never have empathy for is a man.
Okay, now I'm curious. Why exactly is it that men don't deserve empathy?
They are not deserving of your empathy. They are going to take your empathy and weaponize it against you and set you back further in life.
It's ironic that they said that, actually, because I'm sure most of us are aware that there's more than a few women that do that very same thing to men. They take the most traumatic and hurtful experiences that they've been foolish enough to share with another person, and that woman uses it against them in some way to shame them, to make them feel like less than. But yet, in this case, it's men that don't deserve empathy because of the actions of a few men. Gee, I wonder if women are deserving of empathy based on the actions of some as well.
The reason why they need your empathy so badly to weaponize is because your empathy is going to give them a chance for them to keep repeatedly hurting you. That's the reason why you can't give them any empathy in the first goddamn place.
Interestingly enough, the thing that a lot of content creators that make this type of content don't want to admit is that that particular narrative can actually work both ways, for men as well as women. So if we're going to say because some individuals treat others badly that they don't deserve empathy, does that prove true for the entire group? Oh, but wait, that doesn't sound quite right if it's about women, does it?
I'm sorry, I genuinely think you're stupid if you're participating in this whole conversation of women cannot decenter men and hate men at the same time.
I wonder if they realize that insulting someone that has a different opinion doesn't actually make that individual wrong.
Women are the only oppressed group in society that are not allowed to hate their oppressors.
I'm really still actually waiting for someone to tell me how women in the Western world are oppressed. Because yes, there are places in this world where unfortunately women are facing genuine oppression, but no one has been able to give me a reasonable, rational, logical answer of how women are actually oppressed in the Western world. I am still waiting.
And I cannot understand how you can claim to have a feminist analysis of the world, but also not understand how you're perpetuating sexist stereotypes by telling women that they're not allowed to be angry.
I wonder if some individuals actually realize that being angry is very different from hating an entire gender for being that gender.
And constantly have their anger either mocked or fetishized, maybe depending on what race you are.
Oh good, we're going down that road now, are we? Oh, that'll help with the argument.
Anger is a productive and useful emotion.
Only according to people that can't control their emotions. I've actually found that having constructive dialogue is much more productive.
Hating men is a very natural response to realizing that you are oppressed.
I'm a woman. I'm not oppressed. But I constantly have people telling me that I am, but yet no one can tell me how.
But you want women to be small and palatable and agreeable so bad that even when they're calling out men for oppressing them, we have to do it in a kind and palatable manner.
Not necessarily, however, it would help. Although, you probably should actually specify how you're being oppressed first.
So yeah, maybe by hating men, I'm centering them.
They finally got one right.
But considering so much of how womanhood is defined has to do with men, it makes a lot of sense that that's what's happening.
Only to a select few would that actually make sense.
If I'm walking out at night, I'm thinking about men because of my safety. If I think about getting married and having children, I'm thinking about how that's going to end my life.
More proof that actually hating someone or a group of people is actually going to make you more miserable.
Not even in the fact that I die, but in the fact that I'll no longer be able to self-actualize.
If that keeps you from self-actualizing, yeah, that's a you problem.
Men are a big part of being a woman, and that's not women's fault. Like, why are we not the ones wrong?
It's almost like they just proved the point that you can't hate men and decenter them at the same time.
Now, men are useless because men are useless. And did you know that men are useless because men are useless?
Spoiler alert. Now let me save everyone about a minute of your time that you're never going to get back if you actually watch that video, because all that a certain individual says for the whole video is that men are useless. They don't try to make any valid points. They don't try to make any arguments trying to justify their position. All they state over and over again is that men are useless. And I would go so far as to say that any video that is made like that, with that type of narrative, is not just useless, but it is also pointless. Because the only type of people that are going to actually like it or encourage more videos like that to be made are those that seem to lack a certain level or any level of rational thinking. Because most individuals are aware that no population of human beings is useless. And making stuff like that is just perpetuating misandry and bigotry. And that needs to stop.
My hot take is that men should start life in jail and earn their way out.
Quick question. Who exactly is going to be enforcing that? Just curious. I think we actually might have reached a new low when it comes to the education system, not just in one country, but apparently in multiple countries, where there are individuals that actually will proudly state that hate is the answer to hate, that it will balance out the universe somehow. Where exactly do these ideas come from? Because they certainly don't come from a place of logic or reasoning, and they certainly don't come from any educated sources. So where exactly are these ideas coming from that bad behavior is the solution to more bad behavior? I'm curious to find out. Well, now, if that was a demonstration on how not to be classy, I would say they absolutely nailed it. But that's not the best, or I should say, worst part of it. Let's take a look at the most liked comment on that video. That's right, over 27,000 likes where it says, "Stop birthing your oppressors." Now, I've said this before, but I have yet to actually hear from any woman in the Western world, which is obviously where this video was taken, how exactly they are oppressed. And that honestly also says a lot about the women that think that they're giving birth to their oppressors, because they're taking part in raising some of these men, so one should think. So if they think they're oppressed, when are they actually going to take some accountability of how they raise their oppressors? Or is that something that they're not going to want to address because that would mean some personal accountability? Was that supposed to be a post on how to create more misogyny? Or is that simply a post for female validation? It's rather hard to tell.
You cannot convince me that men who treat their wives or girlfriends like are not secretly gay.
That's because it's often an exercise in futility to try to convince someone against their own opinion.
Men who cheat on their wives and girlfriends, secretly gay.
Why does it sound like they're trying to insinuate something here?
Men who love women don't treat women this way. Men who love women treat them with respect and kindness.
That's partially true. Men who love women and have respect for women and respect for themselves don't treat women that way. However, that does not make them gay. And someone saying so is rather implying that there's something wrong with being gay. And I would really not like to think that someone was saying that.
So men who don't act this way, treat women with disrespect, need a man. And they're angry because they won't just come out. They'll just come out. Come on, Chad. Happy Pride Month.
It's almost like they really didn't think that statement through, or else they're really just showing how intolerant they actually are.
The problem I have with the Man of the Year trend is that it gives men an excuse to be like, I'm a good guy. Not like one of those assholes.
I don't know what's funnier. The fact that someone actually believes that a lot of men are even watching videos that are specifically tailored towards women that like to make fun of men, because no, self-respecting men aren't watching those. Or two, the fact that they actually go so far as to think that they know what the majority of men who actually do watch those videos would be thinking.
Like, it just lowers the bar for them. It was already too low. This continues to lower it.
The irony of someone talking about lowering the bar of what is considered to be acceptable behavior, meanwhile, talking with food in one's mouth.
As men thinking that they're way the fuck here because they're not saying piss poor women.
Calling out bad behavior does not lower the bar unless someone doesn't understand that bad behavior is bad behavior. That doesn't necessarily elevate those that don't do it to a higher level. But then again, most of these videos are targeted towards women, and common sense isn't common anymore. So, I mean, consider the audience. If anyone ever actually needed proof that beauty is only skin deep, let's look at that post again. It's almost a pity that a lot of individuals' personalities weren't reflected more in their outward appearance. I imagine they would be a lot less popular if that was the case. But just remember, looks can be deceiving, and just because someone looks nice doesn't mean they are.
Men have always been the problem and still is today.
Are they now? Okay.
All the destruction and chaos in the world come from a man.
So it's always men, is it? Not mankind. Because I've noticed that women are conveniently absent from these discussions, like they have no responsibility or culpability for any of the things that have ever gone wrong in this world. I just find that highly convenient.
Lying, cheating, men.
I mean, the same could be said of a lot of women out there, but why do they keep leaving women out of these particular conversations? It's almost as if some out there seem to believe that women have no ability to affect the goings-on in the world, which is absolutely not the case, especially now. But why do they keep leaving women out?
It's not that we bashing y'all. Y'all just don't know what to do. Y'all don't have no self-control.
If that wasn't bashing, well, then I certainly don't know what is. But I really do want an answer. Why do so many women leave women out of these conversations?
If a guy is liking my Instagram story, it's immediately over.
Wait, what? Could someone explain this to me? Why exactly would it be immediately over if a guy likes their Instagram story? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I get the ick. I think it comes off as very immature.
Okay.
Like, if you're liking my Instagram story, you're probably liking every other girl's Instagram story. You know what I mean?
So let me get this straight. They would rather the guy not like their Instagram story because they want to feel special, because they don't feel special if the guy likes their Instagram story because he's most likely liking every other girl's story. Is anybody else confused?
So, like, I don't know. I don't like it. I'm not a fan.
So then don't post an Instagram story. But then how would they get attention? Oh. But remember, gentlemen, there are women out there that will only like you if you absolutely pretend to ignore them and don't give them any positive attention. This is confusing.
I actually love how easy it is to piss men off on the internet.
What an interesting hobby.
I'm gonna do it right now. Just talking about how easy they are to upset is like a dog whistle for them. And they'll be in my comments proving me right.
Let me see if I understand this particular thought process correctly. So if a person is making a type of content specifically designed to upset one demographic of people, if any member of that demographic, heaven forbid, stands up for themselves, responds in kind, shall we say, or makes any argument against any of the allegations that have been made, then that has proven the person who is intentionally making inflammatory content correct? And somehow they think that's a dog whistle. I kind of wonder if some individuals actually know the meanings of the words that they choose to use, because making content specifically to upset people is going to get reactions. And ironically, that is what a lot of individuals really depend on.
Trying to figure out if you can get up and go to work instead of saying stupid stuff like this. Do you find the time between all of the traveling and the boss babe stuff that you guys be saying that you do? All of the trips and all of the gifts and all of the brunches and girls' nights and hangouts and boss babe stuff that y'all be doing. How do you find the time to make stupid videos like this?
Hi, my name is Kylie, and here are 5 subtle signs that the guy you're talking to is a misogynist.
Oh, good. I can't wait.
Number 1, don't say I hate men.
Really? It's misogynistic now to encourage someone to not be a bigot. Okay.
Number 2, he always points out women that he thinks are attractive. You don't catch him staring, but he'll be like, oh, that girl's really pretty. Or he'll ask you for permission to call out women that he thinks are attractive. Like,
how does that even make sense? I think we are going to need a little bit more of an explanation of how a man pointing out that women are pretty makes him a misogynist.
it just means that he sees women as objects that he's constantly shopping for. Number 3, he does not have any female friends, like, at all.
It's like some individuals have never actually met a true misogynist, and they're trying to find ways to make men into misogynists. They're just pulling stuff out of the ether at this point.
Number 4, he makes fun of hobbies that are associated with femininity.
Like I said.
So anything with makeup or social justice warriors or just anything like that that he thinks are associated with women, he will take shots at. Please be careful because men are hiding their misogyny much better now. It's not as explicit as it used to be, so just be very careful.
Or perhaps there just aren't as many misogynistic men as some women think that there are. But I've often found that if a person goes looking for something, expecting to find it, they surely will.
Getting pretty stupid out here. I'm scared now. I'm not joking with you. It's getting pretty stupid out here. You can't compliment somebody. You can't say they're pretty. You can't say they're pretty. That's crazy work. What are we doing? We've lost the plot.
Men shouldn't be allowed to live under the same roof as women and children.
And not every thought that comes into a person's mind should come out of their mouth. But yet here we are. So I'm going to save everyone at least 6 minutes of your time. They go on to explain that statistically, women and children are more at risk of many unfortunate things happening to them if they live with a man. And well, in part that's true. Because there are, unfortunately, some bad men out there that do very unspeakable things to women and children. But is that really a reason to try to say that men should not be allowed to live with women and children? Oh, my goodness, that's the same kind of rationale that some individuals use to justify racism, isn't it? Because of the actions of some, the entire group must be punished. And is that really the type of thinking that we want to perpetuate? Or should we actually correct these illogical statements when we first hear them?
Just remember, a lot of men want a good woman until it requires them to be a better man.
Maybe so. But some of those women are going to be in for a rather rough time of it, because most of those good men only want a good woman. And that usually involves more than being just a pretty face.
Woman has man in it. Mrs. has Mr. in it.
Well, I wonder where this is going. Surely it's not a spelling lesson, is it?
Female has male in it. She has he, okay? And then we have mental illness, menstrual cramps, menopause, mental breakdowns. All I'm saying is, have you noticed that most of women's problems have men in them?
And here we have, most likely, another fine example of the American education system where they quite obviously don't teach morphology or even etymology for that matter, and it is showing that indeed it is a truly great pity that more Americans don't speak more than one language, or else they would likely understand that this is just primarily a problem in English.
Imagine being able to sit outside your home in the cool of the day. Beautiful hair, beautiful eyes, beautiful skin, just all the way around beautiful person, and still have something this stupid come up out your mouth. Go back inside and go to sleep.
Women should marry for money.
Gentlemen, I just have 2 words for you. Prenuptial agreement.
Because the opposite of it is marrying for poverty.
And here I thought the opposite of being a gold digger was marrying for love. Silly me.
And when it comes to dating, money must go first, love and emotions go second.
Ooh, materialism and greed at its finest.
You know the kind of women that stood on the moral high ground saying that money doesn't matter, love is enough? They're still flying economy.
And now we have the elitist mentality. A very popular opinion that a lot of individuals have that thinks that having money makes them somehow better than others.
I know this sounds harsh, but those are the exact same kind of women that never get flowers, never get gifts, never get appreciated, and always overworked.
What?
They are the same kind that get forced to go to work while being 35 weeks pregnant, squeezed onto the metro just because their husband cannot provide for them.
Where do some of these ideas come from? It's honestly like they're trying to scare other women into being money-grubbing gold diggers just like them.
I'm not saying to not date for love.
Really?
But I'm saying that financial standard must come first. If you only date guys who are financially successful, you're bound to fall in love with one of them.
I would beg to differ. Those women aren't falling in love with you, gentlemen. They're falling in love with your bank account.
I mean, she's sitting up here trying to figure out how to explain not dating somebody based on who they are as a person, their character, their behavior. Are they consistent? Their integrity. She's trying to figure out a way to basically reshape the argument that people like Shira Stephan talk about. You're still a trash person. Sit down.
Women should marry for money.
Gentlemen, I just have 2 words for you. Prenuptial agreement.
Because the opposite of it is marrying for poverty.
And here I thought the opposite of being a gold digger was marrying for love. Silly me.
And when it comes to dating, money must go first, love and emotions go second.
Ooh, materialism and greed at its finest.
You know the kind of women that stood on the moral high ground saying that money doesn't matter, love is enough? They're still flying economy.
And now we have the elitist mentality. A very popular opinion that a lot of individuals have that thinks that having money makes them somehow better than others.
I know this sounds harsh, but those are the exact same kind of women that never get flowers, never get gifts, never get appreciated, and always overworked.
What?
They are the same kind that get forced to go to work while being 35 weeks pregnant, squeezed onto the metro just because their husband cannot provide for them.
Where do some of these ideas come from? It's honestly like they're trying to scare other women into being money-grubbing gold diggers just like them.
I'm not saying to not date for love.
Really?
But I'm saying that financial standard must come first. If you only date guys who are financially successful, you're bound to fall in love with one of them.
I would beg to differ. Those women aren't falling in love with you, gentlemen. They're falling in love with your bank account.
Yup, and I do.
Or maybe just try something different and have some self-respect.
Hey, Pygmisha, are you posing the same line of questioning to men?
Oh dear. So instead of answering a perfectly reasonable question, in my opinion, they decide to start out with name-calling and deflection. It can only get better from here.
Like, I'm curious, are you running into men's comments the same way you just ran into mine to ask them why they're not working in female-dominated career fields?
Well, there are plenty of men that already work in female-dominated fields, but let's continue.
Have you ever bothered to ask a man why he didn't become a nurse or a teacher or a caregiver? No? You just asking the women these questions? That's what I thought.
I wonder, why are they not answering the question?
This little attempt at devil's advocacy comes straight out of the patriarchy's playbook.
No, here we go.
This is a tactic that men love to use to try to shame women for their work.
Asking a perfectly reasonable question is now a shaming tactic. Got it.
Because they want to imply that somehow the work that women do in the helping professions, such as healthcare or education, is less important to society than the work that they do in their dangerous and tough jobs.
Yeah, most rational people don't actually think that.
Now listen, this is just my lived personal experience.
That translates to someone's own personal bias.
But I have never needed a welder in my goddamn life. I have certainly needed a nurse or a teacher, though. And I'm not saying that welding isn't important. In fact, we could totally make a case for that. What I'm saying is that you can't make a case for nursing or teaching not being important, can you?
I'm sorry, was that an argument in the original comment? Let's take a look.
Now, what I would do if I were you is I would retire as a good little foot soldier for the patriarchy, and I would sit and do some self-reflection. I would ask myself why it is that I want so badly to be picked.
How predictable. They ended the same way that which they started, with name-calling. But the important thing to take note of here is, during that entire monologue, they never actually managed to answer the question. They either won't, or they can't.
A lot of these ladies, they don't slow down. They just react. That's all they ever do in life. That's why they find themselves in compromising positions, whether it be professionally or intimately. And then they go around talking about, I'm the victim. No, ma'am. Well, yes, ma'am, you are a victim of your own stupidity.
Why didn't anybody tell me that you have to pay to charge your electric car?
They can't be serious. Can they?
Yo, I did not know that we was paying to charge these cars.
This has to be bait, right? Is there really someone out there that believes that electricity is just free?
And I know to some people that might sound crazy.
Well, it's certainly not the craziest thing that I've heard.
But for me, I was just like, what's the benefit of having an electric car if you also gotta pay to charge it?
Now, I'm no automotive expert by any stretch of the imagination, but there is something that I do know. When a person decides to own a vehicle, they are responsible financially for its upkeep and maintenance, in addition to fueling that vehicle, whether that be through traditional fossil fuels or through electricity. And neither of those things are free.
Is it like emissions? Is that the biggest thing, saving our environment? Mind you, the car was discharged 3 days ago.
That's just amazing.
Never date this type of man.
Oh goody. More dating advice from another subject matter expert.
If he was ugly when he was young and now he's hot,
What? So if a guy looks better now than he did when he was young, he's not dateable? Okay, what is the reason for that?
validation from others will always be his top reward, and he will always chase that.
I said this was coming from a subject matter expert, didn't I? And that would seem to be the case, because this sounds like a case of projection. Because not everybody looks for the validation of others, but a lot of people who do actually assume that other people do as well.
Whatever you like in your childhood, you're going to look for in your adulthood.
That's an interesting statement, but some individuals actually do this thing called growing up and maturing, and learning that the things that are important as a child are not necessarily important as an adult. But what does that say about all those women who've had those glow-ups? I guess a lot of men shouldn't be dating them by this logic either.
It seems like some of these ladies, when they cut off the light switch and lay on their bed, somehow they also cut off their brain and therefore have no logic.
When a woman self-proclaims herself to be a misandrist, men freak the f*** out.
May have to beg someone's pardon here, I guess, but no, they don't.
Which is funny because you guys are all misogynists.
All men are misogynists, are they? So every single man on the planet hates women. Right. I can't wait to see how they try to justify that statement.
You might not be self-proclaiming yourself to be a misogynist, but if you have misogynistic ideologies and tendencies, then you are a misogynist if you are not trying to actively unpack.
So let me see if I understand this particular generalization correctly. Every single man on the planet hates women, unless they are trying to actively unpack their hatred of women. It's rather circular in reasoning, isn't it?
Misogyny is woven into the fabric of everything within our society.
That would have to be true in order for this narrative to be correct. But then again, if it were, then women would have never gained any rights anywhere in the world.
But you cry whenever a woman on the internet says that she is a self-proclaimed misandrist.
Maybe they just don't like bigots.
I'm sorry, you know that misogyny gets women unalived and raped, right? You know that misogyny single-handedly is the reason for femicides across the world? You're mad about the internet? You guys are funny.
And what I find funny is someone trying to justify bigotry and bigoted actions, and justify the hatred of an entire demographic of people based on the actions of some members of that group.
Women are not meant to work.
Really? I'm kind of starting to wonder if some women think that that women's rights movement thing was apparently just an entire waste of everyone's time.
40-hour work weeks, plus overtime, double time, weekends,
It rather makes a person wonder, how exactly are they going to be supporting themselves?
We are not workhorses. Save that for the men.
Leave the work to the men. Because they're workhorses. Sure. You know, it makes me stop and wonder, if a person were to actually ask a lot of these women that make these sorts of statements, do they actually believe that women are truly equals to men? I wonder how many of them would say yes, and still try to justify making these sorts of statements. Because equal rights means equal treatment, and it also means equal responsibility. But I know responsibility to some is definitely something to be avoided. What do some of these women, especially ones that make content like this, even want? Or rather, I should say, expect out of life? Because from what I have been seeing, there are some women that certainly want all of the rights and privileges and benefits of being treated as an equal to a man, but only in so much as it suits them. However, the moment it doesn't suit them, such as having to stand and wait on a subway, they want to shame men for treating them as equals. And in those cases, they don't want to be treated as equals. No, they want to be treated as better, it seems, than men. Or some could argue they want to be treated as inferior to men, as they are apparently too weak to stand. My goodness, I guess we could be setting feminism back over 100 years with that kind of implication, couldn't we? So, do you want to be treated as equals, or do you want to be treated as less than? You really can't have it both ways.
I was like, why are you so obsessed with me?
Why are you so obsessed with me?
And here we have yet another fine example of how some women really want to seem to demonstrate how truly gracious they are and how they accept compliments from men. Instead of just ignoring it, they have to make an entire video complaining about how they were called pretty. I wonder if they're going to feel that same way when they stop getting those compliments.